Welcome back to the high school sports page, everybody. Brought to you by the Burns Insurance Group. We're going to take a look at the 2A and 1A polls. Marion County remains number 1 in my 2A poll. Tresvant, a loser to DeSoto Central. Mississippi drops the Bears to number 4 in my poll. Adamsville had a good win, while Boyd Buchanan knocked Tyner Academy from the ranks of the unbeaten. That moved Adamsville back to the number 2 spot, Boyd to number 3. My new number 5 in 2A is now 4-1. Waverly, a 42-31 winner over Hickman County. Terry, your 2A poll?
In Mid-State, there's no change, Murphy. Waverly, Forest, and Watertown all had convincing wins, and they stay where they were last week.
I had no changes in my statewide 1A poll. Union City, Peabody, Nashville Christian, Dresden, and Coalfield, all winners. Those 5 teams, Terry, outscored their opponents by a combined 255 to 28.
That 1A is going to be fun to watch, Murphy, no doubt about it. Same thing in the Mid-State, no change in 1A. Nashville Christian, Columbia Academy, Wayne County, and Huntington all had big wins. And even though Joe Burns was defeated by Nashville Christian, that's their first loss, they stay at number 5.
Pretty salty bunch from up there at Cedar Hill.
It really is. It really is. Coach Steve Williams, how you doing?
Great. How you doing?
Good. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Glad to be here.
Steve, you had a season opening loss to Stewart's Creek, but since then your team has reeled off 4 consecutive wins, and some of them by pretty good substantial margins. What's been the key, in your opinion, to that success during that 4-game winning streak?
Well, you never like to lose, but you hope you learn something when you do lose, and we learned a lot about our team that night when we lost. And our coaching staff, to their credit, we went back to work that night, and we decided we need to simplify some things and go back to fundamentals and do the things that we do, tackling and blocking, and things that we were lacking that night. And our kids came back to work on Monday, resilient, ready to go. We had a great week of practice. We won a thriller against Marshall County. The confidence level began to build. Then we go into Franklin the next week, a huge game, and Overton's had some trouble at Franklin, and we pull off a win there, and you can just see the confidence building in our kids. The practices are crisp now. They come to work every day, and they're a lot of fun to be around. So you can just see that our kids are believing in what we're doing, and we've got a great coaching staff that refused to let them die after that first loss.
Coach, unlike a lot of young guys in the profession, you served as an assistant for more than 2 decades, 22 years, I think, before you finally became a head football coach. You'd been a head baseball coach and done very well in that arena. But not only do you get to become a head coach, you get to become a head coach at your alma mater. That's pretty special. How has that felt?
Very special. You know, it's not often you get a chance to go home, and I got that opportunity. Very blessed to get that opportunity. Dr. Schuler Pelham gave me that opportunity, and being home is great. I've got great support from my administration, Dr. Jill Pittman and Dr. Stephen Schaefer. The community support has been the outreach of that. A lot of alumni have come back. I get phone calls all the time congratulating and just checking on us and coming to the games. I get to see a lot of old friends now.
And, excuse me for interrupting, but in a lot of ways, Overton is still very much a neighborhood school.
Oh, absolutely. Overton is a great school, great community school, and we still have great community support there. And then our student body right now they're on fire. You know, we go to the Marshall County game, and just a great crowd, electric, and then I didn't think we could overdo that. And then we come into the Antioch homecoming last week, and our students have gotten involved now. So it's been a lot of fun, and you know, I'm just blessed to be back home.
Coach, anytime we have a coach that is in Class 6A, we always ask this question, so you're not the first one. But as you know, under the new alignment and the new format, all 6A teams go to the playoffs regardless of their record. What are your thoughts on that, and do you feel one way or the other that that should or shouldn't be the case? And I mean, it is what it is, obviously, but how do you feel about that?
Well, in my mind, it's not really changed a whole lot from the old format, because realistically, you want to still finish in the top 4, which is the goal of all other regions. You don't want to make that trip out west to Memphis in the first round. So every region game is still important. You know, so I think in that case, you want to finish top 4. The opportunity to everybody get in the playoffs. Football's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You may have some things that cause you to have a slow start in the season, injuries, key people out, and all of a sudden at the end of the season you're playing well. You still have that you're looking forward to playoffs, even though you may not have the record in the past to get in the playoffs. You know, and at the end of the thing, you know, when state champions, you want the best team playing at that time. So to me, it really doesn't bother me. You know, I think it's still it's a decent format.
Steve, I mentioned earlier that you had been a head coach in baseball, but not in football until last year. Any major differences in being a head coach in football versus a head coach in baseball, and the transition from an assistant to the head position?
You're responsible for a whole lot more people in football, and you know, that's the biggest key right there. Is there's a lot more components to football than there are baseball. Other than that, I think it's still being a head coach and still making sure that you have good relations with the parents and the players.
Coach, arguably your toughest test coming up Friday night. You've got McGavock at home. It's a big regional game. The winner maintains at least a tie for first place. Tell us about this McGavock team. Of course, as we know, Coach Jay Gore does a good job. But what about this McGavock team? What do they bring? What are you going to have to be aware of? And what are you going to need to do to come out of that game with a win?
Jay Gore does a tremendous job, and he's got a great staff with him, and we know it's going to be a huge challenge. They present a lot of problems. They've got a D1 quarterback that, you know, he's just very elusive and can throw and run. He's got a great support staff around him. He's got a top running back. I think the kid's name is Johnson, and got good receivers. And they're going to create some mismatches for us. The other thing that they're going to create for us is size-wise on the offensive and defensive lines. We're not really a very big team, and they're very big, so that's going to present some problems for us too. I think we have to win the turnover battle. I think the last 4 weeks you talked about our success. We've won the turnover battles. We've eliminated the penalties and the silly mistakes that we made in week one. And I think those are the keys to the game and trying to win the kicking game.
Coach, you said McGavock was big.
Yes, they are.
That must mean that you're fast. Who are some of your speed guys?
Well, they're fast also. Now, let me tell you, when you come to the game Friday night, you're going to see a lot of speed. We have some dynamic players. Our tailbacks, Kimley North and Tavarius Travis, are very fast. We have outside guys. We have Elijah Pankey, Theo Jackson, Derek Payne. We have some dynamic players ourselves. I really do like our kids and our chances on Friday night. Also, you know, last time we played McGavock, they beat us in double overtime in the playoffs. So we hadn't had a whole lot of problems getting our kids ready for this week.
And you mentioned, we were talking before we went on the air, your running game with those two running backs you just mentioned. You had almost 1,000 yards rushing your 3 games previous to last week. So obviously you've got to be proud of your running game, the way y'all have been racking up yards.
Absolutely, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Our offensive line has improved tremendously under Coach Morrison, and Coach Stewart does a great job with our offense. It's hard to load the box on us because we have some weapons outside. So, and if you do load the box on us, we can throw. So I think what's happened is our running game has benefited from that.
Coach, about the only thing, I'm sorry, that we haven't talked about is your staff. And I know you got to have some great lieutenants. They say a general's only as good as the guys under him, and obviously those guys are doing a good job too.
Absolutely, and when I was fortunate enough to get this job, the Terry Anderson staff stayed. And so I've got a lot of head coaches with head coaching experience. Richard Campbell, Mike Morrison's our head baseball coach. Ben Brewer is a young guy from Lipscomb. I was able to bring on some new guys. Jamal Stewart as our offensive coordinator, played at Stratford. Mike Woodward, who was a head coach at Brentwood and at Antioch. Very blessed that he runs our defense now. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting somebody, and they're gonna. Oh, Chris Crawford does a great. Chris has been there forever. Ronnie Martin has been there forever. They've been Overton people for a long time, and I know I'm leaving somebody out, but yes, you're exactly right. I have a great staff.
Steve, let's talk about the new region, Region 3, Class 6A. Some teams maybe you don't play every year: Ravenwood, Franklin. Of course, you got Wilson Central, Lebanon, Mount Juliet. Of course, McGavock, who you play this week. What about that array of teams there? It looks like a good region, and it's a lot of good football teams that have had some good tradition for a while.
Tough region, great coaches in it. I think it's great for our kids because, you know, even though we like playing the Metropolitan Nashville schools, it gives us a chance to go to venues and the stadiums that we've never gone to. As a coach, I like the familiarity of playing the Metro schools, but like I said, the challenges of going to these other places is also exciting for our kids and for us.
Steve, I know it's a busy time for a head coach, but we appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight. And I know Jay very well, too, so I'm going to say good luck to both of you guys.
Absolutely.
It ought to be a great contest, though, without a doubt. And actually, we're going to look at some video highlights from your last week's game with Antioch High School to close out this segment. We'll be back with more, reminding you this is the High School Sports Page, brought to you by the Burns Insurance Group.